I had a purpose before everybody had an opinion.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out.
You want Philly?
Chase Utley, you are the man.
You come out backyard and you try to start something, you always get your butt kicked.
The prayers have been answered.
How about those Eagles, baby?
And Rio Muto can run for days.
Can you feel what's about to happen on this field, man?
A perfect game. Roy Halladay has thrown the second perfect game in Philadelphia Phillies history.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Philly Talk. Apologies for not getting it out yesterday. Also, again, similar to last week's episode, this one's going to be a bit more quicker. Not going to really follow the format, just simply because Game 3 is about to start in about 30 minutes. Obviously, I'm talking about the Phillies versus the Braves in the NLDS. I apologize for any background noise going on, such as that police car or ambulance that's going off in the back. I'm just simply trying to get done with this, get it out either before or as soon as the game starts, just get my thoughts out on, the wild card games against the Marlins, because obviously the last time we talked, it was before that. Obviously the Eagles game and all that. So starting off with the Eagles, getting the good, the bad, looking forward out quickly. The good from this game was I love the adaptability from, the team overall. It was pretty going back and forth pretty evenly, especially in that first half. Obviously the bad was, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua were like getting some huge catches, and it was seeming like we were just struggling to stop them and all that, but like I was saying with the adaptability thing, I mentioned it to my dad that I wanted to mention it here, that, there was that drive where we were just marching down the field, and then Jalen Hurts throws that really bad pick, like in the end zone, and that was a terrible pick. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat that. That was just a bad pick and all that. But what happens the next drive and every drive after? They slow things down. They're taking up the clock. They're basically doing what the Commanders did to us in that one game, That's what they did here. They kept that defense on for so long, like they were just rushing and making the pass occasionally and all that. And even when they were making these big passes, they were still killing as much clock as possible, really wearing down that defense, and so they adapted from like trying to rush things to like taking it slow to the point where they had almost like 15 plus minutes in terms of the time of possession at one point, so they did a great job of handling, the timing. The one complaint I do have is, at some points they took their foot off the gas in the sense of like, how many times are we going to get to the red zone and not score a touchdown, How many times are we going to walk away with 3 when we should be walking away with 7, So that was a frustrating part of the game. But overall, this was kind of like the Bucs game where, there was just a lot of good from it that you really liked, not a lot of bad. Looking forward for the Eagles, obviously the big thing that you saw through this game, which was included in the bad, was they really need some help over the middle and over the top, like Slay and Bradbury were trying their best, but even the greats are gonna get beat at times, and obviously with Cooper Kupp, it's such a struggle, especially when they have him in that slot role where they have him crossing over the middle so often, but Nakobe Dean's coming back, so that should hopefully help out. But it was just tough in the sense of like, you want to see better from that secondary and the back part of the front 7, and with Nakobe Dean coming back, hopefully that helps. But now more than ever, we've been saying it the past couple episodes, but now more than ever, they should truly be looking into a safety, potentially another corner. I don't know. I think safety is the biggest concern though that this defense really needs. But yeah, it's like it was kind of tough watching those parts of the game where it was just like you could clearly see the defense struggling. But props to them in the second half. They turned up. They got on top of their game and all that. Looking at the box score stats, Jalen Hurts, he did pretty good, 303 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, he had the one interception. He had 72 yards rushing on the day, a touchdown. Amazing play by him where everyone thought he was going to get injured. You probably know the play where he was getting tackled and like it looked like it was going to be a tackle for loss. It looked like he could have injured his play trying to stay up, or injured his play. What am I saying? Injured his leg trying to stay up. But that's what being as strong as you are gets you. Where you have that muscle there to help, strengthen you and resist against that, So props to Jalen Hurts for sticking up on that play and, getting good yardage out of it. And I'm glad he just didn't get injured. DeAndre Swift looking like a great investment from us. 17 rushes for 70 yards. Real good stuff from him. 38 yards in the passing game as well. A.J. Brown going off again. 6 catches for 127 yards. Dallas Goedert, 8 catches for 117 yards and a touchdown. Great game from him. Didn't get to see a whole lot out of Devontae Smith. He was targeted 5 times. He only had 1 catch, 6 yards. So, hoping for a better game from him the next game. But obviously at the same time, when you have Goddard and A.J. Brown going off, one mouth is going to be left a little unfed. On the defensive side of things, Jalen Carter had 2 sacks on the day. Hassan Reddick, back-to-back sacks to pretty much close out the game. Great stuff from him. It's really glad to see him, getting back to that level that he was last season after a slow start. Overall, pretty good game from the Eagles. Moving on to the Phillies. The Miami games. Amazing work from them. Amazing work, especially, my gosh, why am I blanking? Especially the pitching staff, I mean, seriously, you look at that first game with Zach Wheeler on the mound in that game against Miami. We won 4-1. He did let up the 1 run, but 8 strikeouts, went 6.2 innings. Great stuff from him, man. Great stuff. And then the very next, first off, you gotta talk about the guys hitting well as well. Like in this game, JT had the home run, I believe. No, that was in the game after. There was no home runs this game, but we saw a lot of great stuff. We saw basically this one wasn't like a crazy offensive game in the sense of like big stuff, but like we got great stuff out of our players. Christian Pache had an RBI, Bryson Stott had an RBI, Alec Boehm had an RBI, Nick Castellanos had an RBI. Pretty great stuff from them this game. I can't remember too much about that game. I just remember it being really good. I don't know what was that. My bad. And then the next game, obviously the big one to get us to the NLDS, we won 7-1 against the Marlins. This was the game where JT Realmuto hit a home run, and then Bryson Stott hit the grand slam, which was insane. That clip of the no audio with it was amazing. And then, of course, the biggest thing, Aaron Nola. 7 innings, no earned runs, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. Great stuff from Nola. Just steps it up when you really need him to, man. And obviously we need him to step up in today's game, but we'll get to that later. But this was a great game. And then we get to game 1 against Atlanta, which was an absolute masterclass from Rob Thompson. The way he just did this game was absolutely amazing. A lot of us were confused by Ranger being taken out so soon, but that bullpen dominated, man. Orion Kirkring, amazing stuff. That guy's a freaking flamethrower, man. That guy throws some serious heat. And same thing to Gregory Soto in that game against the Marlins, where he was throwing so many pitches that were like 100 miles per hour. Absolutely insane. The bullpen was on point this game. We got a home run from Bryce Harper at this point. We were getting to Strider. He did have a good game, but we were somewhat getting to him, And overall, it wasn't necessarily the best hitting game because you had guys like Alec Boehm, who had zeros across the board, 3 strikeouts. Nick Castellanos, 4 strikeouts. So it wasn't necessarily the best, but, the pitching held up. Ranger, shout out him for holding it down. Game 2 yesterday. No, not yesterday. Was it Monday? Yeah, it was Monday. A heartbreaker because we were getting to Max Fried early, and I told my dad, I'm like, this guy hasn't pitched. They said this guy hasn't pitched in like 3 weeks, I think they said. Like, you gotta take advantage of that, like you can't let this opportunity pass you by. And they were doing that from the start. Like, we got a home run from JT. We had we were getting on base a whole lot. Like, you look at the stats. Schwarber got a hit and a walk. Turner got a hit. Bohm got a hit and 2 walks. Bryce Harper had a hit and a walk. JT had 2 hits. One of them was the home run. Nick Castellanos had 2 hits and a walk. Pache walked. Rojas walked. We were getting guys on base. And not only that, you had a masterclass from Wheeler where, the first 2 innings, he struck out 6 guys. He ended off with 10 strikeouts. I know he let up the home run, but, he was doing good. 6.1 innings pitched and all that. He was doing so good. But then, we just made too many mistakes. There was the defensive errors on Trey Turner's part. There was Hoffman throwing that. Well, first off, it was Wheeler throwing that one pitch to, Darno. And then Hoffman throwing that pitch to Austin Riley. And the thing that confused me was, they mentioned on the broadcast, too, where it's they've been struggling to hit that high fastball. Why did you stop throwing it? Why did you go to I think it was the slider that they threw at Austin Riley? I completely forget, but it was why did you do that? That, I don't know, the pitching decision just wasn't it, But to me, it's you wasted this perfect game from Wheeler, where 10 strikeouts, he was wheeling and dealing, and you wasted because of the offense, and that's crazy to say when you had JT hitting a home run and all that, and you had guys getting on base, but that was the issue. You kept leaving these guys on base. You kept stranding them. It was so much, at one point there was bases loaded. At other points we had multiple guys on base, maybe one guy on base, and we just couldn't get them in, and it was frustrating to watch. It was just you're wasting this game, You're purposely letting them come back in after demoralizing them for the first, game and 5 innings of baseball in this game, where they were just scoreless. You just allowed them to come back and turn the momentum, and it was what are you guys doing and all that, So that was the most frustrating part of this loss. And so when we get to today's game, I believe it's Bryce Elder, who not many of our guys have faced him at this season. I think they've maybe faced him. Castellanos got 2 home runs off of him, I think. But I don't know what their career splits look like against Bryce Elder. I don't know what a majority of their stats. I know I saw a lot of guys just aren't necessarily I don't know, when I was looking at the stats, I didn't see a whole lot for a lot of different guys. So that tells me that there isn't much to look at in a sense, but you look at his previous games. As I'm looking here, he's pitched let's see, sorry, I'm pulling up his last 5 games, and it's funny because you see him in these games where he gets wins despite letting up, the game against Chicago, they won 7-6. He let up 5 earned runs in that game, only went 3.2. Same thing against Philly, they lost 5-6. He only went 3.2, and we got 4 earned runs on him, 2 of which were home runs, which I think that was the game I was talking about with Castellanos. So you got to get to this guy early, and that crowd has to really bring that momentum back, because trust me, that loss on Monday was really demoralizing, to lose that way, to let him come back into the game that way, to have that double play that ended the game, which, I don't fault Harper for, trying to run. It's a 1-run game. He's trying to score from first. He thinks that ball's either hitting the wall or going over, and that's a 2-run home run. That's his mentality, So I don't blame him for that mess up when it came to the base running, So you got to get that momentum back. You got to come swinging with fire. The ballpark's got to get to these guys early. Our hitting has to get early. And Nola just has to pitch like he did in Miami, He has to just really hold through with this lineup. They're going to have a lot of momentum. A part of me, as much as I'm a big supporter of Nola, as much as I just want to see the guy do great, a part of me, there's a tiny part that feels like this is going to be a shootout, and we're not going to necessarily see the best game, but at the same time, this is playoffs, so I just want Nola to step it up. I've seen him step it up when it matters most in different situations, so I'm hoping for just a really good game from him. This is going to be a very telling game of how this future is going to go for his team. You can't let him take one here in Philly. You got to just come with all the momentum, especially like you did last year, man. Last year when you brought him back here, you lit him up, you know. Like, I get it. Some fans are going to want to mention like the injuries that the Braves had at times. Like, I think Spencer Strider was partly injured. Same as like Max Fried yesterday, which, you know, they took advantage for the most part until they decided they didn't want to, you know. But yeah, so it's going to be a tough game, man. It's not me not being optimistic in my team. It's just the fact that you can't underrate this Braves team. And that's what I feel like a lot of Philly fans are doing online. They're like setting themselves up, you know, where it's just like, you know, come on, guys. Like, I get having faith and being optimistic about your team. But at the same time, the way a lot of these fans sort of like talk about this series against the Braves, it's like, you're getting ahead of yourselves, you know. Like, I want to be the reasonable fan that's like, you can't count out the Braves, especially after the game they just had, where after going, you know, pretty much not scoreless, but really struggling hitting wise, to now having this game where they had 2 home runs, they got all the momentum, like to like start getting back into that rhythm that they were during the regular season, you know. So it's like, you can't just expect it to like not be something to fear, you know. Like, a lot of these people online, they're just like, I get it, you want to get your memes off, you want to like troll the Braves fan base, but a lot of times it's like, I'm the type of guy that's like, wait till you finish the job, you know. Job's not done, you got to finish that first before you say anything. Like, I know what's his name, Orlando Arcia, I think that's how you pronounce it, or Arcia, I forget, apologies if I ever mispronounce any names. He like was, you know, essentially, you know, showboating because of the fact of Harper messing up the play. And to me, it's like, I would, like I'm saying right now, for my own team and my own fan base, you know, like the Philly faithful, you know, it's like, slow your roll, you know. You don't want to give the other opponent's bulletin board material. You don't want to have something come bite you and bite you back, you know. So it's like, kind of, I just want the fans to just slow your roll a bit, you know. You can be hyped for this team, you can show your support, you know, but like, I feel like a lot of people are just sort of like writing this off before it's even done, you know. For me, I believe we can, you know, take these next 2 games in Philly because we did it last year. But, you know, there's so much stuff that has to take place, and it starts with today's game, where you can't have a repeat of yesterday's game. You can have a repeat pitching wise, in the sense of like, you want Nola to do just as good as Wheeler, but also without the fault of letting up a home run, and also with the thing of, again, you can't leave these guys stranded. The bats have been pretty much hot, you know, like they have no trouble getting guys on base. It's the moment they get these guys on base that they just decide, oh, I don't know what to do anymore, you know. So that's the frustrating part. But I'll let you know this, whether win or loss, whatever happens to close out this series, I will probably come back to you with another Philly Talk episode, just because I can understand. I can understand in a sense, you know. I don't know if annoying is the word, but like, you know, having to wait so long for me to come back and have to recap the wild card games and then talk about the NLDS. So whatever happens today and Thursday, you know, again, whether it's win or loss, I will probably come back for another Philly Talk episode just to get my thoughts out a lot sooner, whether it's us advancing to the NLCS or having a discussion about what this team's future is in the offseason, whatever it is. I'm ready. It's like 15 minutes or so, the game should be on. I got my hat on. I got my NOLA jersey on. You know, I'm ready. I'm hoping for the next episode of Philly Talk to, you know, continue the uplifting mood of having the Eagles undefeated and hopefully the Phillies advancing to that NLCS. You know, it's a lot to be happy about. It's exciting baseball. As much as that loss hurt, it was exciting baseball nonetheless, you know. But as always, I'm going to be rooting for my Phillies. I want them to get past this, you know. And after that, we'll have a discussion about who we're facing in the NLCS, whether it be the Diamondbacks or the Dodgers. But to close out, I just want to let you know, being 5-0, you know, the Eagles being 5-0, that's very nice. But being the only team that can successfully run a quarterback sneak is just so much better.